Okay, so hello, good evening. This is the second time I'm recording this, and actually, I wanted to do this as kind of like an addition to a blog post that I just did, which is from age 0 to now, or more like pre-birth to now. Um, this is, and basically now would be age 39, and this is basically, um, yeah, part of the exercise of integrating my life experiences and story. And so, yes, it's for me, but I guess obviously I'm in posting it. There's something else that's I'm desiring on perhaps an unconscious and conscious level. Um, so basically, I want to share a memory from age 12 and also share something about mirroring and also um, yeah, I so we had rehearsal earlier today and we're working on a ballet called Coppelia, and I really enjoy it. It's very kind of ditzy and funny, and I have a lot of work to do with that. So I need to actually write down the choreography that we learned today, but this is kind of helping me to breathe after doing the blog post to help integrate my life experiences. And I don't know if I said that. Right now, I'm on age 12, and I did pre-birth because obviously I am in a generational line, so pre-birth is going to be important because it helps to understand um, all the things that you carry before you're even before you even become a human. All of the things that you carry, all the things that I carry. So basically, first I want to say I am kind of disappointed about something recently in my life. I don't want to give details. I shared with my counselor, but it has to do with opening up and being courageous to share about my trauma and it not being. I don't know. I was just kind of heartbroken in that I just didn't get the care that I thought that I deserved, and having to deal with that. And also, let me say that sometimes it's. Let me turn my heat off because I'm afraid that it will make noise, which it probably did. But also, I think one of the sad things is that sometimes you cannot just think that you can rebuild and say I'm done with this. No, sometimes I think when things come back into your orbit, they do have their own sort of gravitational pull, their own energy. So it's important to sometimes go through it and look it in the face and face it. And what came out of that was something beneficial, actually, because I actually understand now that I'm coming from some really deep trauma, generationally speaking, and the type that people don't talk about or truly admit, but it's probably a lot more common than people really do admit to. Um, and thank God I know now because that's probably the most more important thing to know. And I was hoping also that I would get for support for my trauma, for my abuse experience, but I didn't. And that was hurtful. Um, and how else would I be forced to figure stuff out if I didn't literally go through the situation? I would just not know what the outcome would be. And that's extra energy that needs to be, expelled. And this is, the hurt from it is what perhaps what was it was going to be originally, and I need to feel it. So I'm in the process of that now. Um, so what else do I have to say? Writing down choreography. This. So yes. So also, um, being the recording secretary of the alumni club in this state, you know, I would say more. There's more to say because something happened today, but it's not really out yet. But I'll just say that what it has helped me to do is start to reintegrate who I am within this new rebirth form. Okay, and help to access the potential that had been dormant for so long because of operating under survival and needing to just live and survive. And sometimes before you can even access things, survival is more important. And that has been definitely my life, much of my life. And it's really sad. I have a lot of grief understanding a lot of the ways that my younger self, like at 17, I had no chance, quite honestly. As far as some of the goals that I have now, when I was younger, the goals I had were, some of them were similar, but yeah, just based on the lack of infrastructure, the lack of safety, lack of transportation, a lot of different things. And maybe that can be a video another day because I'm not there yet, but ChatGPT is definitely helping me to understand that a lot of my outcomes are not my fault. It's actually a result of lack of mirroring. So we'll get to that in a second. And lack of infrastructure, basically. And, all of these different traumas that generationally, a lot of the Black girls and women of my line on each side, and this ends up affecting some of the boys and men as well, depending on what the harm is. But it's a lot of abuse and assault and yeah, essay, however we want to say it. Yeah. So imagine carrying that generationally as a girl child and not kind of having a voice for what these things are, not knowing what these things are. You're carrying language that you can't really interpret or speak because you don't really know what's happening, but you know that there's a reason why you feel like you can't break through or you have too much of a load. I don't know. But let me talk about mirroring really quickly because that's another topic in another day. But one of the examples of mirroring is, as well, I will see in my life experiences, is that I lacked it. So say I did like a lot of AP and honors classes, which I did, and say I graduated towards the top of my class in high school. Say I was valedictorian of my sixth grade class and fifth grade class, and as I got older, things became more and more unstable as my parents separated, which was a much needed thing. And having to recognize the many people in my life, like only my mother genuinely consistently mirrored me, and even within her limitations of her girl womanness, it was still not fully there, right? So say this Black girl shows acumen in STEM, from pre-algebra honors to calculus honors by the time she's a senior. And let me tell you, I fell apart my senior year. I fell apart. You can call me Lego because I really just fell apart like that. And okay, but basically, with that, yeah, I just and I don't have my mom doesn't say this. My father doesn't say this, and he's actually in science. This his life path, and my mom is a math through business school, and almost finished law school. And really, it feels like legend. Like I, I never saw her degree. I never saw his degree on the wall the way people put these things on the wall. So anyway, I'm having to go back and learn history because it hasn't also been transferred, if that makes sense, a good amount of it, especially the girl woman history. So that's what I want to say, mirroring. That's two examples. But say I have a grandparent that, due to the harm, the violations they've experienced, they are not going to finish high school, and this is in the segregated deep South. Black girl in this time period is really just really in a really, really, really tough place. And so say I go to college, and I'm a bicultural person, so I'm not trying to take the voice of an African American girl or woman. So yeah, I do have guilt about that. And also, I will be the first girl, or second maybe, there's might be another girl, but among the first to go to college. Why am I learning this at 39 years old? Why am I learning when my father was proud that he was the first in his family? Why is this information having, like, you will think this is a math equation trying to figure out x plus y equals, oh, this this is what it feels like. So basically, there's that. That's an example of not being mirrored, or the girl relative doesn't express that that pride, okay, but says how smart my father is, which is true, right? But hello, girl child to girl child, girl child to girl woman to girl woman, woman to woman, but I'm more of a girl woman, and maybe I can explain that another time. And like, yeah, like, where is the feminine transmission, or is it misogyny when it's not transferred? And so this is what this mirroring for me has been, having to face the fact that I'm surrounded by a lot of misogyny. Say I have a girl relative that is a nurse, head nurse. I guess they don't know about this aspect of me. A male relative that is a math professor, but the only time they comment on anything is when they see an email that I've written that says, the email said, "Oh, you can write." Meanwhile, I'm up to calculus honors. Or when I did algebra 2, which, it was just a requirement, I didn't really know my potential until I know now, as this healing process is taking place. It's kind of allowing me to see in the ways in which I have not been mirrored, and thus do not know that I actually have an intellect that at 17, and also I do not have the stability to really allow it to flourish. So there's a lot of grief going on here. But I have a person that's a math professor that doesn't even know that I'm good at math. Or a relative that's a surgeon that doesn't know that I won the medical terminology spelling bee third place. I didn't win. When I was 10, and also have STEM subjects that are higher level, though not AP. I didn't do like AP physics and everything, which I feel grief about that as well at this point. But it's just things like this, having to face that I'm not mirrored, and that my family system is not one that actually would support a person like me, a person that can both experience essay and also love learning, and also essay in the way that it is done in the form of a science lesson, so that in order for me to even access my intellect, I'll have to go through healing. So a part of my mind has been colonized through harm. So that's what's difficult, having to face that I didn't really have a chance when I was young. Because even if I showed ability, I didn't have the encouragement and the recognition that should be that match that allows you to kind of progress. So that's what I want to say about mirroring. I think that I could say more about it, but it's important because ChatGPT was helping me to see that, yeah, I came from a really traumatic background, and we were sleeping on the floors, while I was trying to take the MARTA bus to go to school every morning, late all the time. And my mom didn't drive, so I didn't have transportation, and my parents are divorced. So I'm taking the bus to Lindbergh Station to take another bus, the 40, to West Paces Ferry Road. You're kidding me. And having dance classes many times a week until late. I couldn't even play piano because I didn't have time to practice. And worked a job 1 day a week. So yeah. So mirroring, that's a very important thing. Maybe you have experienced it and that's benefited you, and maybe you have not experienced it and it has been to your detriment. So the next thing I'm going to say is, yes, I'm in the healing process now, and having to have grief, understanding that being older now, you can't help but think that the window is closed. And I'm in Act 1 now, so, right, I have to focus on that. But seeing the intellectual acumen that I had, even as I fell apart, and understanding how many generational things I was also carrying, how many generational traumas I'm also carrying, how many silences that are existing. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing I want to share is a memory. Actually, no. I will do another video on the memory. So that's all. I guess I'm going to just talk about mirroring for this one because I kind of am bored. I kind of feel like I talked too long anyway. All right. Thank you. And I will talk about the memory in just a moment.